All right, everybody. Hello, this is Seth Weisblatt. I'm the Director of Merchandising on the Home Furnishings Division with BrandSource. And today with me is Rick Coppola, President of North American Sales for Ashley Furniture. Rick, thank you for taking time out of your schedule today. I know it's incredibly busy and you're dealing with a lot of fires and all sorts of fun stuff every day. If you want to start, just share with me and share with our members what's going on and what are you seeing and what can you share?
What's going on? That's a good question. Well, it's been just an incredible year, obviously, for everyone. A lot of phrases and words have been used, incredible, amazing, crazy, ridiculous, mind-boggling, and of course, unprecedented, which everyone uses. I saw a coffee mug the other day. It said, "I can't wait till precedented times to come back," so it's been pretty insane. But we started this year out, 2020, who knew? We were up about 14 to 15% as a company, and we had three straight years of company records for sales, which was pretty cool. And here we are, middle of March, and I was tuning in an NBA game on a Wednesday night, and all heck broke loose. People are walking off the court, this and that. And at that moment, we were up, let's just say X, and it was pretty good, 14%. 6 weeks later, we were down about 15%.
Wow.
So it was just an unbelievable swing in 6 weeks. We stayed open. We kept making furniture as best we could, wherever we could. We were delivering furniture as best we could, probably about a third to a half of what we had been delivering. And of course, sales, net written sales were, like I said, went from about 14 up to, I guess it was more like about 10 down. Well, now we're up over 20%.
Wow.
And the numbers are just ridiculous. And every single morning we wake up and go, wow, we're up another 50, another 40. And it's really being led by our independent dealers. We have a lot of different segments that we sell to, and independent retailers of all sizes. It just seems that everybody's business is up big time.
Yeah.
So, people say, well, these are, happy days, your business is up. And I think everyone on this call, including you and I, know that while business is up, I wouldn't call them the happiest of days, because we're just trying to do the best we can for every one of our customers of all sizes and give them, at least their share of the product that we're able to ship. And we're shipping more than we did last year, but not a whole lot more because of all the issues with supply chain and employment, getting people to come back to work, being safe, spending a ton of money in the factories to, be above code as far as temperature checks, and plexiglass shields been hung up, and plastic hanging things have been hung up. And, if one person comes down positive, we send the line home for a couple of weeks, and it's just amazing. And then of course you have all the issues with, what do you call the, ports being shut down for a week or so, and you lose time there. People not showing up for work, whatever it is, it's just, there's a lot of delays. So what happens is we have every intention of shipping on this date, but something can go wrong all the time. So we've had a really interesting time of it, and we're doing the best we can to get as much product out as fast as we can. And like I say, we're up, over 20% in sales, but we're up only about a couple of percent in shipments.
Wow.
But we're doing a lot of things to fix that. So that's where we are, really. That's been the story. I think it was interesting when things shut down, so to speak, for those 6 weeks. I know I can speak for myself. I learned a ton about online selling and social media. You and I, of course, had a lot of calls about it and all the different things that people could do to do business. And that during those times, some people just discovered the internet for the first time, and others who had been doing some business started going crazy with business. And then right around May 1st, all of a sudden, things started happening. And we think it's really because, I think everybody knows this, but it's really because of the stimulus money that was out there, people sitting in their homes and wanting their homes to be a haven And so they go out and they say, I've had this sofa for 10 years. I've been meaning to change it. We need to get a new sofa, or this dining or whatever. And of course, home office through the roof. And so business has just skyrocketed. And we are not the only industry that's, quote, enjoying, unquote, this. But I have a friend who told me about, he's in the bicycle repair business. He supplies tools and repairs to different bike shops across the country. You can't get a bike unless you're willing to spend $1,500 or more. Everything under that, mainstream road bikes and that kind of thing, long waits. Another buddy of mine told me the other day he wants to put a pool in. He was quoted 2 years.
Wow.
Peloton. My wife and I got the Peloton, I guess, in early January, and we ordered it, the day before Christmas, and we had it January 6th. And other people are now, I think it's about 2, 3, 4 months wait.
Yeah.
And you saw what happened to the stock on that. I don't know if you did, but it was about $30 a share, went down to 18, and then the recovery started, and it's $75 a share right now. And everybody is getting Pelotons because nobody wants to go to gyms. So there's a lot of industries that are seeing a V curve, if you'll call it a curve, a V recovery. Unfortunately, there's a lot that are not even close to recovering yet. And it's really a tragedy, in my opinion. It's just really terrible that, restaurants and these movie theaters and things. And I think that's the other reason that the furniture industry is growing so fast right now, is because of share of wallet. That's the buzz term that people are using. They can't go on vacation, or they don't really want to. It's not worth the time or whatever. They're not flying. They're not going to concerts. They're not going to sporting events. So all these things are going on, and they have that money plus the $600 extra a week that they were getting, plus the stimulus package to go out and spend, and they are spending it on furniture. So, we're all in this together. We need to, under promise and over deliver if possible. I think everybody understands what's going on, but at the end of the day, they just want their furniture. So that's the situation we're in. And it's been a wild ride, to say the least.
Yeah, for sure. And appliances as well, right? It's the home category that seems to be benefiting right now from people being stuck at home and really nowhere else to go. And so,
yeah, a dealer friend of ours who also sells appliances called me the other day, all excited because he got right before the pandemic started, he bought a crazy amount of refrigerators and freezers. He didn't know why. He said, I have no idea why. I just bought them. They were a good deal, so I bought a lot of them. So he was doing well for a long time, selling. It got him through the deal, So yeah, it's been something else.
So you mentioned a V recovery that you're kind of seeing. There's been talks of it could turn into a U or a W, or where if there is a second wave that's going to come, and are schools reopening? Are they not reopening? Are kids going to college? Are they not going to college? There's all this uncertainty still left in the air. What kind of forecast or information are you getting from the economist of the world that Ashley has access to?
Let me put on my economist hat. Oh, I can't find it. We've been on a lot of calls. Todd Wanek might as well be an economist. He talks to them every day, and the thing I think we find is that there's a different answer from everybody. I mean, I've been on calls in the same day with two different well-established, well-respected economists and from massive companies, and nobody really knows. And I think that's the problem. It's just the uncertainty factor. Of course, now the market is up over 28,000 again. The economy seems to be moving along, but the problem is that, down the road, what's going to happen? What's going to happen when people go back to work and they're not getting their extra $600? Will this second stimulus package happen? Will there be a second major outbreak? I mean, there's more, obviously, and I'm not an expert, but I, look every day. There's testing. There's more testing, so there's more people having it. So the death rate's going down. And more millennials are getting it, and they're basically healthy folks, so they're doing okay. And I've seen reports that say the death rate is in the under half a point overall. So there's people that think we should quarantine the old and the sick, and the elderly, the sick, people with pre-existing conditions, and then If we do that, will the rest of the economy continue to thrive, or will it thrive? So there's just a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Whether it's going to be, we just believe that we think it's going to just keep going for furniture. We don't see any end in sight for it. And I think that there's a lot of panic on the news. That they're, every day through this thing, I would watch CNN and I would also watch Fox News, and it was two different. CNN still to this day they call it the death toll, and they have it on the screen 24/7. Whereas Fox News doesn't. It's like there's nothing even happening. So it's crazy. So you have to find your news in the right spots, and a lot of times there's just panic. The news reports and results in panic. But it seems that more and more people, just in going around meeting people and everything else, everybody's trying to do the right thing, wear the masks, do those things. Then there's a lot of crazy things like you can't touch a flag stick at one club, but you can take it out and rub it on your, rub it all over you if you want on the other place. But at the place where you can't touch the flag stick, you can have cups of water, and just keep taking the cups of water. And if you can't take the cups of water, some people have a case with cold water in it where everybody's touching the same latch. So there's just a lot of nobody knows. There's never been one authority that has stepped up and said, these are the facts, because I don't think anybody really knows the facts. So what will happen?
I just want to throw this out there, Rick. Sorry, for those that don't know you're an avid golfer. So the flag stick reference is to when you're on the course, which
sure,
just in case people were
right. And if Todd's watching, I don't get to play hardly at all, just so you know.
Avid golfer doesn't mean you play all the time. It just
correct. I just like the game, right? I also played a lot of basketball, including in college and up till this moment. And I haven't played since February, which is the longest I've ever gone since I was 6 years old without playing basketball, because there's no gyms open and people don't want to go sweat on each other and everything. So I'm going through that withdrawal. This thing is causing a lot of issues for a lot of folks. It's not, a lot of people staying home, and there's been issues with mental health and all these things. It's just it's something else. But I think that, I just know we'll get through it. And, we always said we'll come out stronger on the other side. Well, we're not through it yet, but we're already stronger. The business is amazing. And we just need to constantly do what we can to improve and plan for this to continue.
All right. So we know there's a backlog of product. So and you see this momentum continuing for quite some time. What steps are being done to kind of work through the backlog? And as you know, you're getting calls every day from retailers saying, where can I get a truck of furniture from?
Yes.
How do we get out of this? What is your prognosis, or how are you visioning the future?
Well, and that's the toughest part, is we have dealers of all sizes. I mentioned earlier, thousands of dealers across the country. And we want to make sure that the people who have, we have maybe 70% of their floors, and they rely on GMROI for years from us. And sometimes we did it great. And other times we struggled a little, but we always kept it moving. And now we're in a situation we've got to make sure we take care of those folks, but we also have to take care of the larger customers and everybody. So, what we're doing is we're constantly looking for things that we can do. Not 2 weeks, time flies. About probably 6 weeks ago, we took 20% of our line and suspended it. Now, we didn't drop it, we just suspended it. Some of the product was selling well too, but we took almost, quite a bit of sleepers out of the mix. We took a sectional out of the mix that caused, sleeper takes about 60% more time to build, I guess, on our plans. So by the time you shut the line down and do all those things. So we tried to become more efficient by suspending product, and we suspended about 20% of the line. We plan on starting to make that again in November. But what that did was that helped us, even though, we've improved, but not a whole lot. It helped us focus on certain products, the other 80%. So that helped. We're now looking at, we're doing things like, we're paying, Todd is spending, the company spending a lot of money on things like, transfers. We're transferring goods all over the country to make sure we have it where we need it. We've got, I'll just throw the number out there, 18,000 containers on the water right now. And we're one of the top 5 of any industry in the country of container importing. So we do have relationships with those folks. That doesn't mean they still don't ask for extra moolah to get the product here. So we're spending money there. We're spending money on the transfers. We're doing all we can to help customers. Some customers actually buy more containers so that the container doesn't have to come to our plant, unload it, load it on trucks and get it out. Why not just send it right to the customer? We're starting to look into that and other things to get that done while still having the GMROI model at the factory, from the warehouse. So lots of things like that going on. And we're going next week.
ROI, I mean, the gross margin return on investment is how Ashley, in my opinion, built the company to what it is today. Retailers shouldn't have to inventory the product, rely on Ashley to get it just in time.
Right.
And that's broken right now a little bit. So, with what you know from production capability, the backlog and everything else, is this a January relief that you see coming? Is it beyond? Is it increasing every day so it's so hard to tell?
Well, I know that I've been hearing that a lot of the other manufacturers out there right now, some of the larger ones and some of the ones that I've had major dealers that do over $200 million a year tell me that they tried to order something yesterday. It was mid-February date. So this is industry wide, and I don't know. I know that we're going to continue to, as we hire more people, we've hired 200 last week. We've got somewhere around 16,000 employees in the U.S. alone. We're trying to bring more people in. The real issue, we're making more furniture than we've ever made, both overseas and here. The biggest issue is getting the people to load the trucks, unload the containers when they get to the factory, load the trucks and get the furniture out. So that's been the biggest problem. And once we get more and more people going, we'll be able to ship more and more. But right now, I guess we're shipping, I'm going to say maybe 70% or so, or 80% of our written business. So we need to get that up. I don't think the written business is going to continue at the pace it is now. It should come down a little bit, but I don't want to wish for that either. So it's just we're doing everything we can to just build as much as possible and ship as much as possible, and then tweak our whole supply chain to make that make it as efficient as humanly possible. We're also putting in a new operating system, order management system. That's almost ready to go into play. So all these things are being done to fix the situation. But again, you could wake up in 2 weeks and we could be up another 10% from where we are now, or we could be down a little bit and we'll eventually catch up. But one thing we've done from the beginning of this pandemic is we've stayed open. We've talked to the local governments. We've talked to the state governments, and made sure that we could go above and beyond all the requirements. And we delivered quite a bit of furniture every week, and we made quite a bit of furniture every week. But for that period of time, not nearly what we needed. And now we're gearing all that back up again. So to answer your question, with a date, I don't know. I mean, right now, at the rate we're going, it's going to be quite a few months before anything's caught up.
Yeah.
Completely.
Okay. Right now, there's furniture market in Las Vegas happening for however many people are actually going to show up, and buyers are going to show up.
Right.
There's pre-market that Ashley's participating in at High Point for the first time ever.
Not ever, but I think 19 years ago we went. Okay, I wasn't with the company at the time.
So what's Ashley's stance on markets, and how are you, kind of talk about that for a little bit, if you will.
Well, as you know, the Democratic and Republican national conventions are, you can watch them, virtually now. Conventions overall are just, there's yours, we're doing yours this way. There's just, I don't know when that'll end. I guess when we get a vaccine and everybody calms down and we can figure it out. But for now, we just have to assume that that's the way it's going to be. And I can take you through what our situation was. So we found out, of course, that July Vegas market was canceled and it was moved to August. And at first we said, I don't know who's going to go there. And we heard that there would be people there. And one thing we have that's a nice thing to have is we have between 550 and 600 marketing specialists, sales reps, we call marketing specialists. And we have them all over the country. So within 2 or 3 days, we can take a Google Doc and really get a good pulse of what's going on everywhere, which is great. And so we checked out the Vegas market, and we had a decent amount of people were going to be going to it. This was for the August market. And then slowly but surely that dwindled and dwindled and dwindled. So we're now looking at, probably under 100 dealers that are going to be there that we have appointments with. So we decided to definitely stay open for it. But it's really, at this point, it's a regional market, much like the Edison show in Edison, New Jersey, or other shows that our marketing specialists put on across the country. Of course, it's a little bigger. It's in Vegas, but so we will be there. We've got product we've brought from all over the country. It had been in a photography studios, and we've shipped it out there. And also, we made some mid-market introductions somewhere around, I guess it was early May, and those are all going to be there. So that was Vegas. So now we talked about High Point, and I've talked to a lot of people about High Point Market in October, and everybody's concerned. Me personally, this is not the Ashley opinion necessarily. I think it's 50-50 as to whether anybody steps in and says you're not having a convention. I don't know. You think about things like having 2 people on an elevator, or 4, or whatever it might be. And when was the last time you were in the heart of market in October and an elevator door didn't open, and you see people like this against the door and the walls just packed, things like that. I know that the market authority said something about having a lot of food trucks in the streets because we can't be serving food in the showrooms. Restaurants, I hope that they're at a large capacity, but right now it doesn't look like they will be. Just the whole travel thing and having all those people there. So we were concerned about that, but of course, we will be there certainly. And we did that same survey I mentioned earlier with pre-market, because we heard that more and more people are going to pre-market. And the more customers I talked to in the beginning were not going to go to pre-market. And then that started to build and build and build. And so we sped up our introductions for October, and we're going to have almost all, probably 90% of our October introductions at pre-market. And we have, 100 plus appointments set up. We'll be there. I believe it's going to be, we have maybe 1 or 2 appointments for Saturday late, but Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll be there. We'll have, the showroom will look good, but not as fantastic as usual, because some of the accessories we weren't able to get in because of container issues and everything in time for September. But we will have those for October. And, we're going to hit it heavy and be there for that. And, I think that, some of the people that are going to pre-market don't necessarily plan on going to October market, but, September 29th, the news could come out different and everyone will show up. Who knows? We're just trying to plan ahead and adapt.
So one question I have as a former buyer, why, if the backlog is so intense, what's with new introductions? How do you introduce new products when you're having such a hard time with the capacity?
There are a lot less. There are a lot less new introductions. We pride ourselves in having a very diverse lineup. It's very well merchandised. We have good, better, best. We have all categories. We have 21 categories now that we sell. And just because of this thing going on, we have to still keep the line fresh. If there's something that's not selling well, we need to create something else to replace it. So I understand your point, but in the mid-market intros that we did, and I think we had probably 12 or so between the 3 divisions, the 3 major divisions. We brought those out because we were going to bring them out in April, and so we lowered that to just these amount. And at the time, we thought that when we came out of this thing, it was going to be even more promotional product. We were pretty sure that was going to happen. And again, those economists we talked about earlier were saying that to us. As it turns out, it's across the board. We have $2,000 retail sectionals that are selling thousands a month. So it's across the board. So we have to make sure, again, everything at this point is planning for whatever and being ready and trying to be ready to adapt. So we have to have fresh product. We don't want to come out of this with a line that we're not proud of, that's not trend right and merchandise well.
Yeah, so Ashley's been a huge believer, right? Todd has, I think, ingrained it upon all of the retailers that you have to have an assortment. There's got to be a mix, and Ashley will protect the promotional price point as well as have in the midline to not really in the best or the luxury line, but have a complete assortment from the
right. Some people's good, better, best is different than others.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
So initially, right, I think Todd did a webinar with the HFA and talked a lot about how promotional price points are going to be even more important going forward. But you're saying that's not quite the case right now, that it is across the board from what you're saying?
Right. Well, our mid-market intros were highly promotional, and they'll be in Vegas. And those are almost all placed already across the country with dealers. And then you have, for October, we have that mixture. We're going to have a big glam section. When you walk in, you're going to see that, one of the large cement floor area will have a glam presentation. And that'll be a good, better, best situation in all three divisions. Like I said, accessories won't be there yet, but we'll have bedding there. We'll have outdoor there. And it's just going to be abbreviated version of the normal October market.
Okay.
But yeah, we have to make sure we keep trying to be trend right and having a good assortment. So when we start totem poling again and looking at the lineup, we'll be ready.
So let's change gears a little bit to marketing, right? Shop local seems to be a very important trend. And what can you share, just like as we switch to marketing, what are some of your thoughts on marketing and the local, how retailers can stay local?
Well, I'm talking to the marketing guru. Let everybody know Seth is the marketing genius. Did I say that properly, Seth? Or
yeah, I'll wire you the money after the call.
So I mentioned earlier, during the pandemic, one of the things we learned was we learned a ton of things about, being online, selling online and everything. And, I think that what's working now, there's no question that, buy local is working. The way you compete, I think it's the point now where the guy down the street isn't so much your competitor as the big A is and the big W is and the big H and all the other ones.
You're not the big A? Just want to clarify which
No, there's another big A out there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, yeah. So, but the news is that online, you can look just as big as anybody else and just as good. So we have done everything we can to work with as many marketing folks as we can to get our dealers in touch with people who provide great looking websites, great functioning websites that create fantastic, reviews and for the website and get them that, awareness from people and get them in the top of the search and all those things. And I'm really encouraged by that because so many people did that. We had people that were still faxing orders and had no idea what it was. And now they've got a website and they're just amazed at what's going on. It's another store for them. It's jumped from maybe 5% of the business for some people to easily 15. It was 45, 50 during the worst, 6 weeks or so of this thing.
Right.
So, all the things that we heard about and everything else, but when you're doing a lot of business and you're just shipping it and everything's moving along, you hear about these things, but then now we got deeper into them. So things like online chat or appointment selling or sharing your screen or abandoned cart, having people on your staff that do nothing but that, those things to really drive the business. All those things are working extremely well. And then the shop local part is great. And, we deliver right from here. If there's an issue, we're right here, all those kind of messages. What you advertise now, that's a tough thing to figure out. I think most people are just saying that, we have beautiful furniture here. We're local. We'll deliver. We deliver with gloves on, boots on, masks on. We clean before we get in. We clean when we leave. All those things, and we'll deliver to the door if you want, or we'll bring it in the house. All those different tactics that seem to be working very well. So that's really where, what I'm seeing out there. And I think it's just, again, very, very encouraging that we have so many more dealers that have websites now and that are competing against anybody that they need to, no matter how big they are.
Yeah, and I know with AVB marketing and the websites we host, our online transactions have skyrocketed 5 times of where they were a year ago. So, it's just the trend.
And, I don't know, we have something called Direct Express. We got about 4,500 SKUs. Some of it's KD furniture. All of it is FedExable or UPSable. And so a lot of dealers, our business in that category, gosh, I'm trying to remember the numbers. It was probably 4 to 5 times it grew during that period. And now it's still running at double of what it was, even though, people are coming into the stores and they're being delivered to at home by the dealers. But
yeah.
Those 4,200 items, they would go right from our factory directly to the retail customer's home. And that was a great thing that we were doing. And that helped a lot of dealers. And so, people it's just, they're buying differently. I think so many more people now, I don't know the statistic, you probably know better than I, but are, used to be that 90% of people would look online before they went into a store and bought.
Right.
Now, I can't imagine there's very many people at all that don't do that now.
Yeah, I mean, the way we're seeing the funnel is they're shopping online to figure out what store they're going to go to.
Right.
And they're only going to one store because they don't want to, they just don't want to deal with what's going on with COVID. So this question ties into the Direct Express. So we've got endless aisle, right? That's the big buzzword in the industry is you got to have more endless aisle. Ashley, on your website for the home stores, you're increasing your endless aisle capabilities, including brands that you might not necessarily manufacture directly.
We do have some third party, yeah.
Yeah. So, but then you also run into how much is enough, right? How much product assortment does a retailer really need? So what strategies are you seeing that complements, or how does a retailer make sense of this endless aisle effort?
Well, the beauty of the Ashley Direct Express program is that you don't have to touch it at all. So there really isn't a reason to not have as many things as possible. I mean, if you go on some of the, when you sell someone like a Wayfair and Amazon, it doesn't take a lot to sell them something because they just want as many SKUs as possible. They just want selection. I personally think, as a shopper myself, if I go on, I don't really want to see 1,000 pairs of tennis shoes. Just show me 12 and I'll buy one of them. But the theory out there is you can't have enough bar stools. You want a big selection of desks and all. So the fact is that you're not having to ever touch any of this product. So why not have as much as possible on your site?
And maybe it goes back to, you mentioned glam, right? Maybe it goes back into merchandising and how do you bring in the merchandising tools into the marketing tools and really blend them in together. So you're not showing 1,000 bar stools, you're showing glam bar stools, or you're showing traditional, or, and kind
right.
of merchandise it.
Right. I think that the more you can break it down that way by lifestyle, that helps for sure. It helps the shopping experience.
Yeah. Okay. So social media, right? We've talked a lot about that over the years, and there's so many trends going on within the social media world because I think just we're all cooped up inside our homes, and social interactions are down physically. So there seems to be a lot more comments that are shared that might not be whole or whatever. But how do you make sense of social media today with the furniture world? I mean, what are you seeing?
You're right about the thing about, it's just so weird out there. I flew, I was on a plane all the time. I was gone 3 nights a week, 4 nights a week at market, 10 nights, and I got on the plane for the first time a couple of weeks ago. And it's just like a bad horror movie. I mean, it's crazy. You walk in the airport, there's not as many people. Everybody has masks on. So all you see is this, you don't know. And this is one of my many masks. And all you see is people's eyes. And you don't know, even as you're interacting with somebody and you're their customer, you don't know if they're smiling at you, if they're growling at you, you don't know what the heck's going Then you get on the plane, you got to wear the mask the whole time. So social, you're right. The social world is right now on hold. I mean, I see people, sometimes I want to give them a big hug. You stay away, you don't do it. And they come at you with the elbow, or the fist bump. But anyway, I digress. But back to the social media factor, one of the things I did every day was just look at a lot of retailers. I followed them and all, so I was able to see what they were doing. And I think the ones that were most successful weren't necessarily shouting a deal. They were telling everybody with a lot of empathy that, we know what's happening. We're either open or open by appointment, or we'll do anything we can for you to get. It was like the sale of furniture was a secondary thing. They just wanted people to know that we're in the community. We're here to help. A lot of them would deliver masks and things like that to help the whole situation. And that's what a lot of it was. I don't know if she'd want me to mention her name, but there's a dealer in kind of northern Western Pennsylvania that did as good a job as anybody I've seen in the whole country, and by doing Facebook Live videos. And then, as it went on, they would show a chair that was a great deal, and, you can make an appointment and come get it. But it was, again, empathy, caring for everybody. We're safe here. We do these things. So if you need furniture, come on in. And people needed furniture, so they did come in. And at the same time, doing the website and having that working perfectly for them.
So going back to kind of, how do you flow inventory? What should the strategy be, right? We mentioned the GMROI model that is so strongly and embedded into Ashley, but is right now if you get your hands on it, you take it and worry about it later, and however you can grab inventory, a retailer should find a way to grab it.
Yeah, well, one of the things we don't know for sure, but I think that any of our dealers that are under a certain level with us, all of the orders that they have on order, almost all of them, are sold to a customer. So we're trying to, get those folks, we're working with them to say what goods are sold, which aren't. Of course, the larger you get retailer-wise, and if they have a warehouse at all, and then you go to the point where they have massive warehouses, a lot of them, of course, are ordering stock and trying to get in line for stock. So it's a tough situation to manage, for sure. And at this point, we are still manufacturing a ton of furniture every week, and we're still shipping a ton of furniture every week. I mean, the numbers are crazy. But like I said, we're not shipping enough. We're writing more than we're shipping, and that's continuing. So we're looking at other ways to get people product. And, some of them are just starting out. We're just testing them out. But right now, we're shipping in, the key is to give an order a date that is realistic. The problem is, though, so many things can happen. So if we quote 8 weeks, we've shipped a lot of stuff in 8 weeks. But sometimes we quote 8 weeks, and the week before, in the Canadian port, there's a breakout, and we lose 5 days, and we have to call a lot of customers and say, sorry, it's another week. And then, of course, that can grow exponentially, and now it's 2 more weeks. So it's just very difficult. And I think the key to the whole thing is communication between us as a manufacturer, with our suppliers, and with our raw material folks and all that, and internally, and then our communication with our retailers, and then the retailer's communication with the customer. And I think that's what's going to get us through this. Nobody is happy with waiting months for furniture.
But if the retailer could work with the marketing specialist, do you think there could be some opportunities to shift one of the containers that's inbound to an Ashley factory or warehouse to that retailer?
Right. And it sounds easy, and we're trying to, internally, both for the customer and for us, there's things you have to get through. Are they signed up already for containers? Do they handle their own containers, or do we do it for them? Are they signed up at all yet? Things like that. But every retailer, almost every single retailer I talk to, just wants furniture, and they're very willing to do anything, to help that happen. And I got to say, the relationships, we have good relationships with our customers. It's been a great thing because we've been intimately involved with these folks and their business. And we're just all trying to do this together. Everybody understands what's going on. Everybody understands why we're in this position. But what they want to be able to do is communicate reality to their customers, give them a date, and then deliver it on that date. And it seems like it's not a great thing, but they care, but almost like they don't care if it's 12 weeks or 14 weeks or 18 weeks or 7 weeks. Just try to stick to that. So do you start putting buffers in? Do you say if we tell the customer it's going to be 8 weeks, should the store tell the customer 14 and under promise so they can over deliver? Because obviously our intention is to be on time all the time and be correct. But in these times, it's just very, very difficult to do it.
Sure. So I know over the summer, a formula came out about the credit, the line of credit, and how far Ashley will extend an open order and the open invoices to try to figure out product availability so the retailers could build a supply of order.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a thing where I'm not sure how much I want to disclose there. I'll just say this. I'll say that we worked with dealers during times when they were closed and suffering from that. And then, of course, we had the riots, and we had stores that were looted. And I mean, there was a lot going on, as you know. Mm-hmm. So we worked very, very hard with them to extend terms wherever we could and do those kind of things. And, the way the system works, and it was really never even tested until now, because when business is normal, for lack of a better word, it just flowed and worked. If someone's doing $12 million with you and they're doing $1 million a month, they don't need more than a credit line of about $1 million a month if they're paying 30 days. So, but a lot of people wanted higher credit limits so that they could get more product. But the fact is that if, just because it's almost like if you're in line at Disney World to get on, Space Mountain, and Space Mountain is going to take 500 people that day. If you're in line and you're number 872, it really almost doesn't matter. But everybody wants to know they're in line. So make sure everybody knows they're in line, but it's based on credit line, and it's based on what we can allocate for them based on that credit line. So it got a little bit, we're working on that all the time. And it's been going well, I'd say. But we do have people that would want to raise their credit limit so they can have more more allocated. And it's almost like, okay, we want to do that for you. But what we've done is we actually have just allocated some more for people rather than raise credit line necessarily. But then again, that's another thing that was unprecedented. And so, you do what you need to do, and you hypothesize, and then you test, just like the scientific method. And if it worked, it worked. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And then if another thing happens that goes into the equation, you got to react to it.
Yeah. So this has been great, and I really appreciate all the information again. Where do you see Ashley going forward? I know you get a tour of the factory in the next couple of days to be able to see the changes that are happening. You mentioned plexiglass and how lines are being reconstructed to socially distance and everything. Mm-hmm. Where do you see things happening over the next 6 to 8 months? And then how will that likely impact in the years to come? Because, going back to your economist hat, if you can find that one more time, the theory is this home boom should last for a while, right? I think all the economists agree on that one point, that home is here because everybody's leaving the city and people are realizing their homes are going to be an investment to spend a little bit of money on going long term. So where do things happen with the changes that are happening in the manufacturing facility so we can get a little futuristic forecaster idea? Well,
and people might think that I'm drinking the Kool-Aid and that I'm, speaking about our ownership, in a nice way so that I can keep my job or whatever. It's not really true. The Waniks have always been we use the term skating to where the puck is going. And it's a Wayne Gretzky quote. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of great hockey players out there, but the ones that are the superstars anticipate. They know what's going to happen. And if they're wrong, they're wrong. But they strategize and they go to where they think the puck's going. Years ago, where we were, when Ron Wanek started the company and found out of left field that people started buying from China in 1982. He tried to stop it, locally with his government. They told him, Ron, good luck. You're going to have to make do. So what did he do? He went over to China and spent 6 months over there. And, if you can't beat them, join them, and put a lot of those tables in their hands. Came back, had a factory of 30,000 square feet, and started making, case goods, and then built on and saw what was happening with upholstery. And so went into the upholstery business, saw what was happening with reclining furniture, and went into that. And, when you're at the scale that he turned into, these are not little decisions. I mean, you're going out spending a ton of money to banking on the fact this is going to happen, literally banking on it. And then it's probably been 9 years where we started to move a lot of things out of China into Vietnam. And then 3 years ago in a major way. And then as we all know in this call, about a year ago, it was a really good move to do that. So we have tremendous plants that are ours in the right cities too, in Vietnam, which has been a great help. In the last, I think it's 3 years, Ashley has spent almost $1 billion on technology.
Wow.
And other things invested into the country, $1 billion. And so we already have quite a few. The technology has been growing like crazy. We have robotics in the plants already. We were gearing up big time before COVID even hit. So we'll continue to do that. And that opens up jobs for other people. In Arcadia, Wisconsin, there's about 2,000 people, and I think we employ 3,000 in that plant. I mean, I don't know if those are exact numbers, but you get the idea. So, we'll have jobs for those people, and it opens up other jobs like taking care of the robotics and all. And it's an amazing thing. If you're a dealer, once things get a little more normal, we have things called dealer days where we bring a dealer to see this, and it's amazing. I mean, you'll see the line where you have 4 robots, and one of them picks up the 4 pieces and puts them together of a chest, let's say, and the second robot is coming around with his arm and takes the exact amount of glue necessary and puts the exact amount around the corners. Puts another arm comes and puts the back on, and then another arm puts exactly the number of staples necessary to make it perfect. Where when people do it, it's not nearly as quick, it's not nearly as exact. I mean, we would use an extra 10 staples maybe when you shouldn't have to, maybe because the gun goes bang bang instead of, and the numbers are staggering what difference that makes when you're making millions of pieces of furniture a year. 7 staples per piece, I could retire. So anyway, it's, they're doing those things. And so we're always improving our capacity, and, it was going up already because of that. So robotics, technology, I can go on and on about all the things, in that regard, but it takes money, investing in IT and the technologies necessary. And, we feel like we're ahead of the pack within the furniture industry, but when you look at all industries, furniture industry is behind. I mean, there's a lot of industries that have been doing robotics for a longer amount of time.
Right.
I'll just say this: we also have automatic driving vehicles in our warehouses that are basically handled by, they do their own thing. They drive throughout. They pick. They drive. They load stuff. They bring it across over to the other side of the plant. If they get to a corner, they stop. If they see another vehicle coming, whether it's another automatic vehicle or someone driving one, it stops, waits. The two of them, it's funny when 2 automatics meet each other, they look at each other and you go, no, I'll go. Okay. Where they go. But, that is huge in efficiencies and all. So, and all that takes money. I don't know. They think they're $60,000, $70,000 each, those things.
Wow.
So we're doing all those things technology-wise and really investing back in the company in a major way.
So two questions that I think left. I've always been struck every time I have been through the factories on a dealer day and the breadth and size and the amount of racks and how the racks are set up. I mean, it's amazing. And I'm guessing right now those racks are pretty bare. That, you know, what goes in the morning is out by the afternoon. How we've covered the, you know, from the supply chain and manufacturing new product to the new introductions that might happen to, you know, the flow. You've got 18,000 containers on the water. How do you receive, split, ship out in a timely manner, and all the money that goes into it? What can you kind of like advise the retailer base on, you know, just how can they get product? What can we do? One more recap of like, what are the steps that a retailer should do today to make sure they're in line for their goods?
Right. Make sure that your product that you have on order, that we know the most important items are in the front of the list, for one thing. So know what your customer sold orders are. Make sure that we're shipping them before we're shipping things that, you know, are really just for stock. If you're able to buy containers, we can do that. You know, we can do that for them. That'll help. You know, and the buying of containers helps the customer who's buying the container, and it helps all the other customers too, because if the factory doesn't have to unload a container, put it away for 12 seconds, as you mentioned, take it right or cross dock it, load it again, that will let us sell, you know, be able to have our GMROI model continue to be strong. Again, communicate, make sure that the customers know what the deal is from the beginning. Communicate with your marketing specialists and us, and, you know, any manufacturer is going to be the key. And there's no magic wand. There definitely is not a magic wand. But if you do all those things, you know, we will trudge through this thing and get out of it. I'm sure of it.
That's awesome. All right. What are the musts? You know, what does a retailer today, what must they do for their customers and to remain viable?
Right. Well, there's a lot of musts. They must have a website that looks fantastic. They must advertise. You know, it used to be TV dominated and newspaper dominated. If you're buying the 11 o'clock news now and you're in the newspaper, no good. I guess it was John Wanamaker used to say, half my advertising works, the other half doesn't. I don't know which is which.
Right.
And those days have changed a lot. I think if you haven't dabbled in social media and digital advertising, do it. Just do it. Just get started. For some, it's mind-blowing, and, you know, but find someone or a company that gets it, and not only gets it in terms of all the things you can do, but gets it in to make it simple and say, here's where we start. We start by having a great website. From there, you need your, you know, word of mouth these days is exponentially more important than ever before, because one person can tell 50,000 people in 1 minute. So you have to have that reputation management. Keep an eye on that. Just someone who can simplify the whole process for anybody, even the most sophisticated, down to someone who's, like I said, still faxing orders or still mailing it in. You know, some of them.
Yeah.
So just do it. Just get started and do it. You know, one of the things also is you can really measure how well the advertising is performing for you. I mean, it's real measurements. I got this many people to click to my website because I did this ad. That was not really the case before. With TV, if you advertised, you know, they would try to, you know, they had the Nielsen ratings, which I don't know if anyone understands those listening, but, you know, the sample size, I know in Philadelphia, there's 3.5 million households. The sample size for the Nielsen ratings is like 257 households.
Yeah.
And everything else is extrapolated. So you don't really understand, you don't really, know for sure. And then you don't know if they're leaving the room and they're even watching your commercial, all those things. So now you know how many people saw it, how many people clicked through to it. So I would say you need to have, so you have to have the great website. You need to advertise digitally. Um, you have to have an incredible shopping experience, both online and in your store, because you need, when people come into the store, you just have to have customer centricity out of the wazoo, and they need to have the best experience they could possibly have. Very important. I think that you need to invest into some technology at the retail level. Make it easy, make it fun for people to buy. People are still confused. They don't buy furniture a lot. So when they come in, you got to have people that can engage them, be likable, understand, have great attitude. Hire those people and then train them how to sell furniture.
Yeah.
So those are just some of the musts. Like I said, we have marketing specialists. We call them that for a reason. They're not just reps that come in and show pictures and go to the next place and try to sell more furniture. They all have been trained, starting with Kerry Liebensberger 20 years ago, who saw this. There's another visionary for you. And he saw that we need to be more than sellers of furniture. You need to market that furniture and sell through to the end user. If you sell a placement to a dealer, it's meaningless. If that dealer sells it 5 times, that's important. So you've got to be able to have that as part of the situation and make sure that, you can do that. Average ticket is huge. Your traffic is down. There's no question. In-store traffic is down. So when you sell something without appearing overly pushy or whatever, you need to understand your customer, know what they need, follow up, get that average ticket up, because that's how you're going to grow the business. So those are just some of the things. Deal with manufacturers that get it, that are growing, that understand that they're there to help you. Use your representatives because they see what's going on. I mean, when we have a meeting on a Saturday morning at 9:00 with 550 marketing specialists, and now of course with Zoom, it's even better because we can share screens easier and everything else. We all see what's going on across the whole country, and we know what the pulse is out there. So they know what's going on. So use them for their marketing knowledge and industry knowledge. And I think that's it. Compete against the people who are your competition. Have a great site, have a great store, have great salespeople in the store, have a great lineup merchandising wise. Use manufacturers that can get you the product that are going to be here for a long time. And I think those are the musts.
Awesome. Thank you, Rick. Any other parting thoughts? Or that was pretty profound.
No, I talk too much sometimes, I think, but I'm glad if it helps, I'm glad that we could, have this conversation. Even on the biggest macro level, this pandemic and being at home, it just makes a lot of people feel like, they're home alone, even if there's someone else in the house. In fact, sometimes they can, not in my case, but they can realize that, wow, who is this person, But you can feel alone and you can feel like, wow, what's going to happen? But I think, one thing, I've been in this industry since 1982. I started with Rowe and I was a rep, and then I was with Stratford and I was a rep, and then I was went into management. So I've been in the industry a long time, and it is, just talking to friends of mine and everything else, it is just such a close knit industry. It always has been. And now that there's less players in it, it's even more so. And so we are really, I know it sounds corny, we are in this together. And, we just keep communicating to each other and work together on it. We're going to come out in really good shape, and
Awesome.
term, everything will be good.
Rick, thank you for your time. Thank everybody for listening, and we hope you have a great convention. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.